This bike path that I'm on is the East Coast Greenway, and when it's finished you'll be able to bike or walk from Calais, Maine down to Key West, Florida, which is pretty cool. I won't be doing that, but somebody will. So after getting called for jury duty, I drove all the way from Jacksonville, Florida to Rhode Island. And the day before I was to report to the courthouse, I received the following phone call.
My name is John, the Rhode Island Jury Commissioner's Office. I'm calling to let you know that your jury duty for this week has been canceled completely. The case settled out of court, and we therefore do not need jurors to report for jury duty at all. Thank you.
So I never even saw the inside of the courthouse after driving all that way. But I won't be back on the road until the springtime. I want to see a dentist, and I want to get my car inspected early, so I'll never have to come back to Rhode Island in the wintertime for a car inspection. Car inspections here are every 2 years. And I do know I can easily become a resident of a state like South Dakota where there are no car inspections, but the health insurance in Rhode Island is the best and the cheapest in the country. And the health care is great here too. And speaking of health, I want to talk about the time I got sick on the road and what I did about it. I posted a video a while back showing me rushing back to Rhode Island from Georgia. I drove 1,000 miles in a day because I needed to get my previous car inspected and I wanted to avoid a snowstorm. But that wasn't the full story. I could have stayed in Georgia for another 2 to 3 weeks and maybe visit Savannah, but I had an illness that I didn't feel like discussing at the time. I didn't fully know what I was dealing with until I got back to Rhode Island. But here's what happened to me. When I was in Mississippi enjoying my dolphin encounter, I developed a pain in the appendix area. And I kind of freaked out a little bit at the thought of having an emergency appendectomy so far from my home state, Rhode Island. I was pretty sure my health insurance covered out-of-state emergencies, but I would still rather be in familiar surroundings for a possible surgery. But because I didn't develop the other symptoms of appendicitis, I decided to just keep traveling. But when I got to Alabama, I developed a rash where the pain was, and I knew right away that it was shingles. My mother's had the shingles a few times, so I've seen it before, and I might be prone to it like she seems to be. I was actually relieved that it was just the shingles because you don't even need to go to the doctors for it unless it's on your face because it could affect your vision. The shingles is basically a reemergence of the chickenpox virus that most of us had as children. The virus stays dormant in your body, and as we age, our immune system isn't what it used to be. The virus comes back to life. It's like a zombie virus. Because it was just the shingles, I was tempted to stay in Georgia for another week or two to do some sightseeing. I could have waited out the snowstorm I was trying to outrun. And I could have had a last-minute car inspection and not rushed home like I did. But the pain of having shingles soon became intolerable, and I no longer had any desire to do any sightseeing. I wanted to be in a normal bed in a house and have proper hot showers because the shingles rash turns into a disgusting mess that needs to be kept clean. Shingles feels like a non-stop burning pain combined with an intense stabbing pain. And when I read that the pain can last for a month, I decided to hightail it back to my parents' house in Rhode Island. And that day that I drove from Georgia to Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is 1,000 miles, the pain was torture at times. But it ended up being the right decision to make that drive and not try to hang out in Georgia. Now, I can only advise on what it's like to get sick as a car camper. I'm sure if you get sick in a big luxurious RV, it may be no different than recuperating in a house. I don't know, I've only traveled and lived in a car. But rushing back to my parents' house turned out to be the right call. The pain got worse, and it did end up lasting for a full month. And I even had occasional pain for months after that. Having regular showers with hot water and soap turned out to be a must. The shingles rash turns into a disgusting mess. And I think I had a bad case of it too. It went from the middle of my back around to the middle of my stomach, and it was bigger than the average shingles rash, I think. And the rash turns into scabs, and it's gross. If If 600 people watch this video, 200 of you will get the shingles. It's not a rare occurrence. Be prepared for a painful, disgusting mess. So having a proper shower with hot water and soap turned out to be a must because it all needs to be kept clean. When the scabs form and fall off, I saw the potential for infection. Also, it's a virus, so you feel generally unwell for a month, and a comfortable bed is a good place to be. You don't want to be worried about being stealthy and getting that knock when you have an illness. When she was younger, she could walk for miles before getting back into the stroller. Those days are over, I guess. Right, old lady? You know, spring chicken. Also, you're more likely to make healthier food choices if you're not in a parking lot surrounded by convenient fast food. You're more likely to have restful sleep if you're not in a parking lot. I've had gallbladder attacks in my life, which is even more painful, but I wouldn't rush home for that because I know that 24 hours later I would always be back to normal. So my recommendation for car campers is to get off the road and into a house somewhere if you think the illness is something that will last more than a week. Have a plan in place. Maybe if you have relatives scattered around the country, you wouldn't have to drive thousands of miles to be in a house. Check your health insurance to see what it covers out of state. Just being prepared for a situation like that can make it less scary. Now, the town I'm leaving, which is where my parents live, if it were a warmer day, we would have seen soccer moms walking their golden doodles in yoga pants. The soccer moms wear the yoga pants, not the golden doodles. But when I pass under this bridge, I enter the town I grew up in, which is a whole different story. No golden doodles. It'll be pregnant teenage girls with face tattoos, smoking cigarettes as they walk their pregnant pit bulls that have obviously had about 9 litters already. Home sweet home. Wish me luck.